Well, welcome to this week's Bike Sport UK. We're here at Brands Hatch, round 10 of the Power Bike Tour for this year. It's the last round, and we're going to be looking at the Protec Aprilia Mille race. It's the very last race of our coverage of this year's series, and the battle is certainly on between that man, number 73, Marc Ramsbotham, and, well, there is a newcomer to our race today, number 13. Well, that, of course, is Maid Martin. There's 99. That's Francis Williamson. And there is 66, Marchall Neill, former champion of this particular class. And there he is, Darren Jones. He's got 39 points advantage over Marc Ramsbotham coming here today. Daniel Tarrant, of course, isn't racing. Paul Rogers, Wade Martin, John Coughlan, and the rest of the guys. It's all about what number 3 can do here today. Darren Jones, he just needs to keep a clean race, and he'll have this one. And they're on the floor, and it's Jonesy that's gone down. Well, that's not the way to win a championship, Darren. He's on the floor. We didn't quite see what happened. I think he collided with somebody else. Let's have a look, see if we can just see. Yes, indeed, he hit the back of somebody else's bike, I think, and he's gone down. Well, that's not the way to win a championship. So 73, Marc Ramsbotham. Remember, there are 50 points on offer here today because they get double points. He could now become the champion. Well, that is drama in the first order. Jonesy on the point of winning the championship. Thought he'd done it at Silverstone, thought he'd done it at Lyddon, had left it to the very last round here at Brands Hatch, and he's binned it. Well, I don't know what to say, except Darren, you're a twit. 66, that's Marchall Neill, the former Aprilia champion, coming through, as the rest. Wade Martin in there as well. Keep an eye out for 99, Francis Williamson, the former Power Bike Tour rider. The oil flags are out. That will be for Jones's bike that's in the gravel track. Well, the most Jonesy can hope for is if he can pick that bike back up again, and if he gets it re-scrutineered and it's passed, he might be able to join the race. There's not a lot of riders, not an awful lot of riders in the race, as you can see, so he still may have a chance of scoring some points. Remember, he's got 39 points advantage over number 73, who's in third place now, Marc Ramsbotham. He's got that 39 points advantage, so he really does need to get into sort of the top 10, I think, and Marc Ramsbotham needs to win this race. Well, it's a tall order for Ramy, because he's got 2 veteran racers out front. Marchall Neill, the Irishman, former champion twice. Oh, somebody going very, very wrong there. Couldn't quite see who it is, and he's off the bike. Well, I can only assume that was John Pugh, number 6, that went down. And there is Jonesy. Well. It's all full of surprises. Let's have to see what happened. I think it's John Pugh that went down. Oh, it's the old back end gave up. I think he grabbed a handful of brake and realised he was heading for the gravel trap, and really could do nothing about it. Well, foot down, motocross style, but it just pitched him off. Well, it looks like a single digit on the bike, so I assume that is John Pugh, number 6. Well done, John. Nice one. Back at the front, it's Marchall Neill, so 2 times winner of this championship. He's got Francis Williamson there behind him, then Marc Ramsbotham. And I have to say, Ramy, you're out there with 2 veterans, so you're going to have to keep a very watchful eye on them. But if you stay where you are at the moment, Mark, you could just nick the championship off of Jonesy. Well, Darren is back on his bike. I can only assume that he got the Marshall, or there was a scrutiny, I think, up at that side of the track. And, this is the one now. Francis Williamson and Marchall Neill going for it. It means nothing to these 2. There is Darren Jones, so he hasn't, well, he's a couple of laps down, I think, but he may well finish the race. Look at the back of him, covered in muck and dirt. Well, he's a brave lad. He's picked it back up again. Not many would do that. There's a big old bikes. Obviously, it started for him. So they're basically standard machines, so they've got electric starts and so forth on them, so isn't it sort of like push it? But obviously there was a scrutineer on the side of the track there that's checked his bike out. Remember that when you crash, you have to re-scrutiny your machine before you can rejoin the race. If you don't do that, you get disqualified. But obviously there is a scrutineer there, and they've checked his bike out and said, no, that's okay. He was lucky, I think, to land where he did in that kitty litter. So we'll see how Jonesy gets on, but at the moment, Ramsbotham sits back there in third place. There's number 16. Well, that, of course, is Doug Lowe. These are all Aprilia 1000 machines. This is the very last race of this class, because next year we will see a Super Twins, I think they're going to call it, a Super Twins class, which will replace this Mille class. So it will, of course, include a few of these Milles, plus Ducatis and 1 or 2 other twin machines, so it should be interesting. We saw the Aprilia 250 be replaced by the 400 class, and that's turned out to be the right decision. because it really is a cracking race now. So maybe we'll see this. Oh, somebody else out there. That could well be number 13. It is Wade Martin out of this one. So that's either he's been off the bike or a mechanical failure. But here they come, the lead in 3. And I have to say, Marc Ramsbotham hanging on to the shirt tails of those 2 out front, Williamson and, of course, Marchall Neill. And he doesn't really need to mix it with those 2 guys because they have got vast experience. Well, there is Darren Jones. Well, the bike looks okay. It doesn't seem to be damaged in any way, so hopefully he'll keep going to the end of the race. Now, Jones, he's really just got to try and get himself up as high as possible, because it really depends on what Ramsbotham can do. These 2 out front are being a bit of spoilers at the moment for Ramsbotham. Good old scrap going on there, and that may well have been 37, I think that is. And that would be Chris Norris, if it is. There is Darren Jones. So remember, the winner of this class actually gets a brand new 1000cc Mille worth well over 10,000 quid. So there's a lot at stake for these guys. It's Neill that leads the race again. Francis Williamson there in 2nd place. Marc Ramsbotham now, to be sure of winning the championship, Rammy's got to win the race. 19, that was Mark Compton on that lovely turquoise machine. Here is Darren Jones once again. Keep looking at the machine. He's got to be hurting because he went down really hard. But fair dues to the lad. Brave, he's got out there and kept going. So he's determined to take home that bike if he can. He won't take it home today, of course. Oh, Ramsbotham had it a little squirrely there. The last thing Mark wants is not to finish the race. There is Compton. He's got number 60 behind him. Well, that's, of course, Paul Rogers. So a good old scrap beginning to develop here. This is for about 4th place, I think, this scrap. Here is the scrap for the lead, and Williamson going up the inside of Marchall Neill. Marc Ramsbotham there, keeping a watchful eye on those 2. Here's that little battle. Compton's got it at the moment. Rogers is there as well, and Ben Garner is also in that little fray, number 45. But this is the action all out front. Francis Williamson, who had a go at the went to British Superstock, if I remember rightly, from the Powerbike Tour, when BSB found their grid a little empty, and they threw out this enticer to privateers to fill up the grid. And Francis, with the team he was racing with then, decided to go for it. Marchall Neill has gone back into the lead. Marshall, of course, also I think had a crack at the Superstocks. A lot of injuries over the year, Marshall, so that's why we haven't seen much of him, which is a shame. Very likeable character. Neill it is then. We haven't seen much of him, as I say, through injuries, but nice to see him out on the track again. Ramsbotham. Well, credit to Rammy. He's hanging on to these 2. Well, I won't call them veterans because it makes them sound very old, but they are very experienced riders. I'm not quite sure how long Mark has actually been riding, but I can tell you that he has been riding for a while, but maybe not as long as these 2 guys out in front of him. But he's going great guns at the moment. They're all on identical bikes. Oh, here comes Rammy. Well, up the inside of Williamson. Under braking, has he made that stick? I think he has. Yes, so Ramsbotham goes up to 2nd. Now, if he can get past Marchall Neill and hang on to that lead, to the checkered flag, with Darren Jones circulating around last at the moment. Well, he's not actually last because Dave Diboll is down there with him. Well done, Officer Diboll. You're having a race with the could well be the series winner. There he is, number 77 on cue, our old friend Dave Diboll. Well, he enjoys his racing. That's the main thing for Dave. You can't all be winners, you know. But he goes out there and he races, and I hope we see him back next year in the Super Twins. 66, 73 and 99. So, of course, that's Marchall Neill who leads this race. Marc Ramsbotham in 2nd with Francis Williamson in 3rd. Remember, Francis became a new father a couple of years ago when we were up at Alton Park, and Rammy's gone into the lead. Same place as last time. He's going to get himself well and truly mugged by these 2 if he's not careful, because they'll sit and wait. They've got a lot of experience, the guys in front of him. This is that scrap, I think, for 4th place. 64 at the moment. Dylan Fox has it. That's Mark Compton. That looks like Darren Jones just going through, which will mean that the front runners, and there he is. Well, if Ramsbotham can see Jones out in front of him, that's really going to spur him on, because he knows that if he wins this race and Jones finishes where he is, that will give Ramsbotham the championship on the last race of the year. Well, he's got two veterans behind him, and here they come. Wow, Francis Williamson going up the inside. Has he mugged him? Yes, he has. Now, what's Marchall Neill going to do? Right across the front of Ramsbotham, looking up the inside of Williamson. Well, as I said, these two guys up front are veterans. They know what it's all about. 64 now. Well, that is Dylan Fox. Is he third? There is Compton, number 19. So it's all getting a bit frantic out there. And what is Ramsbotham going to do? The last thing he wants to do is get into a battle with these two. He'd be better, I think, sticking where he is and hoping that Jonesy finishes outside the points, although that's unlikely because there's only about 15 bikes in the race. So Jones at the moment running, and we've got the checkered flag this time through. He's going to go to Neill. Yes, it does. Marchall Neill wins it. Well, there is Darren Jones. Now, I think Jones has done enough to win the championship. He seems convinced that he's done enough. His pit bull will tell him that. I think Jones has done it. Ramsbotham finishing third, but after a disqualification of the 99 biker Francis Williamson, Ramsbotham was moved up to second, but it wasn't enough. It was not enough. Darren Jones finishing in 10th, and that was enough to give him 208 points to take the championship, with Ramsbotham finishing on 197. Well, there they are. They've got the number one stickers to go on the front of his bike. Darren Jones then spectacularly throws it away on the opening lap, but still comes back to win the championship.